Welcome to the It's All About Missions podcast with Brady Van Winkle, as we endeavor to talk about missions and the need for the gospel all around the world. We hope we can help you find your place in world evangelism. And for questions or for more information, please check out it'sallaboutmissions.com. And now we hope you enjoy the show. Hello, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of It's All About Missions Country of the Week Country Spotlight. And this week we're going to be looking at the African country of Benin. You say Benin, I've never heard of this country, and honestly, I didn't know much about this country before. I've done a little bit of research and found a little bit more about it, but it is a West African country. It's nestled right in between Nigeria and Togo, but also to the north, it's got a little bit of a border of Niger, and also Burkina Faso all border this country. It's a very small little country. It's in, like I said, West Africa. The language there, the national language is French, but as most of these African countries are, at one time they were colonized. People came there, whether they're French or whatever their language is. The French is the main language, but there's still many indigenous people groups languages there that people still speak, and that would definitely need to be learned if you wanted to reach people with the gospel. What's a little bit interesting about this country is, I found this really interesting, is if you know voodoo, actually the religion voodoo and all that you hear about, that sometimes is in Louisiana and different parts of the Caribbean and all those places, actually originated in this country of Benin. And there are still actually a large number of people that are there that follow after, hold to Voodooism. They call it Voodoo in the country. But let's say a little bit more about the country. The population is basically about 12 million people. Another interesting fact is about 2/5 of the country, so about 40% of the country, is under the age of 15. So it's a very young nation. There's a lot of young people there, which means that their minds can be easily molded. They could be reached with the gospel at a young age. And really, in the next few years, we could see the country turned upside down with the gospel. If you look at the numbers, it says that the main religion, the largest religion there is Christianity, but that's going to include Catholicism and things along those lines. And then right behind it is Islam. And actually, what's interesting is there's different counties, so to say, in the country, different little districts in the country that are divided up by their religions. There's some that are Christian, there's some that hold to Islam. But what's sad, though, is Islam, and then there's Christianity. But what's sad is basically a lot of them have also included their ancestral beliefs of voodooism and all of that together and combined to make their own religion of trying to work and do all of these things, pray to the spirits, do these things, find a witch doctor, all of this stuff, trying to earn favor, trying to hopefully end up in a better place. But the truth is, we know that without Christ, they're going to die and spend eternity in hell. And although there is a large majority of the population Muslim and it's Christian, there is religious freedom there. There's the opportunity to go and take the gospel there. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone going to the country of Benin and working there. And so there's a great need for the gospel there. We need to pray that God will raise up some laborers. There could be people that are working there. Being that it's in West Africa, there's been people there probably throughout the years, but there's a great need for the gospel there. And so let's pray for the city of Benin. I would say the capital city is Porto Novo. And then the largest city, though, is, and some of these cities are really hard to say, so I'm going to try my best, is Cotonou. Has a population of about 1 million. The capital city has a population of right around 250,000 people. And so it's a very spread out country. People are in different regions and things along that line. But there's a need for the gospel there. And let's pray this week. I'd ask you to help us join me in praying for the country of Benin. Let's pray that God will raise up laborers that will give their lives to go away. Let's pray for those that may be laboring there already, that God will give them fruit for labor. Let's pray for the true Christians that are in Benin, that God will give them boldness to share the gospel with friends and other people. Let's pray for the pastors and the churches that might be there, that God will strengthen them. They could see fruit for the labor. So let's pray that we can see Benin reach with the gospel in this generation. And from Benin, you could reach into Nigeria, you could reach into Nigeria, Burkina Faso, all these countries that are near there. We could see West Africa reach the gospel to this small little country. And so let's pray that we can see reach the gospel in this generation. And as always, let's be doing everything we can right where you are, whether that's attending. You should be faithfully attending church. You should be praying every week for the countries of the world. You should be giving. You should be looking at going and asking God if he'd allow you to go, and giving your life and saying, God, I'll go. If you open the door, I'll go take the gospel wherever you want me to go. And we will be doing all that we can so that we can see the world reach with the gospel in this generation. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of It's All About Missions. And we'd like to ask you to do a couple things for us. The first thing I ask you to do, so if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date when all of our new episodes drop. And that way, as a new episode comes, you'll get a notification that lets you know, hey, we've got a new episode of It's All About Missions. Second thing I ask you to do, if you haven't yet, please make sure to leave us a review. These reviews are very vital, and they help us out, and they help other people to see us in the podcast player of choice. They'll see us and see those reviews and say, hey, I want to check out this podcast. And lastly, one other thing I'd like you to do, why don't you share share us with a friend, a family member, somebody you know, and say, hey, why don't you go over and check out It's All About Missions. That'll help us grow our audience, help people to know more about It's All About Missions, and guess what? It'll help more people get involved in reaching the world with the gospel. I want to challenge you to know that the Bible, it's all about missions. And as a Christian, your life should be all about missions. And what are you going to do to impact the world with the gospel in this generation?